Hello, minions. There's been a fun development in Heronshire. Team Evil has imploded. A delicious plot by some evil characters against other evil characters has resulted in a, situation.
Trigger warning. If player versus player action is not for you, well then I suggest you toughen up and watch anyway, otherwise the Demi-Lich will undoubtedly make fun of you.
And so, minions, the latest installment of the Night Below campaign. As is our custom, the events are being recreated using the Order of the Stick Monster for Every Season cutout minis. Today's players: Rick as Nomgare, Neutral Evil, Human Cleric of Mask, 5th level. Sean as Bob, Chaotic Evil, Dwarven Assassin, 5th level. Matt as Kurg, Lawful Evil, Half-Orc Assassin, 3rd level. Sean as Hagen, True Neutral Elven Magic User, 4th level. Shannon, who plays Elwinda, was unable to attend and is thus NPC'd for the session. After the somewhat anticlimactic battle with Ranchifus, the group has taken his body back upstairs to the mess hall and are reviewing the loot. Nomgare plans to cast Animate Dead on Ranchifus to both prevent decay of the body, as well as bring back proof of death on his own power. Smart lad. Use the tools at your disposal. Before he does this, however, he plans to use Speak with the Dead to glean information about this Ace-Erik from him. Going over the loot recovered, Nom claims Ranchifus's magical chainmail armor and immediately dons it. Elwinda takes the spellbook they found and moves to a quiet room where she might rest and learn her read magic spells to decipher the magic knowledge within. Thus, Elwinda is conveniently removed from the action as her player is unable to make the game. Hagen, Nom, Kurg, Bob, and minions head down to the lower levels to finish exploring. Nom encourages Hagen to scour every wall for secrets, and a lucky roll out of the gate finds a previously undiscovered door. Inside, they find a well-maintained boudoir. Nom sends Hadris in with the Talisman of Magic Detection to search for magic. None is found. Another door leads to a bedroom. Under the bed, they find a coffer radiating some magic. Inside are gold, platinum, jewelry, gems, and 2 flasks. Nom has a skeleton carry it. Hagen, being out of spells, opts to stay here on the comfy bed and rest to replenish his magic. Over the course of the next few hours, they search the rest of the lower complex. An ornate stone door still stymies them. They decide to try the other doors first. The first door leads to a smelly room with a massive hole in the floor. Hadris goes in with the amulet, but a carrion crawler emerges. Fortunately for him, there is no surprise. Hadris plans to withdraw. Nom commands the undead to engage with the creature. A tied initiative means it attacks as Hadris withdraws. 8 attacks. The group is afraid not for Hadris, but for the valuable amulet he's been using. But 8 attacks all miss. Only an 8 is needed to strike, and none connect. Such luck wasted on an NPC. The undead are immune to paralysis and greatly injure the beast, prompting morale failure. It returns to the hole. Kurt and Lomar advance with their bows and shoot down at the fleeing creature, killing it. The hole is 50 feet deep, and the group lowers a skeleton down to hook the crawler so that Nom can harvest the parts in case they can be used for research, notably the tendrils. The next room over has a rabid giant rat hiding inside, but the undead make short work of it. When Hagen is finished resting and relearning his spells, he returns to the others. Elwinda has at this point deciphered the spellbook, so the list of spells available is made, including some previously unavailable options from Unearthed Arcana. Hagen takes the book so that he might also decipher the spells when he can memorize read magic. At the ornate door, Bob and Kurg find no traps, and Bob is able to pick the lock, opening to a crypt with smashed sarcophagi and strewn bones. Nom takes Hadris and the undead in to explore. The door shuts behind them on its own, locking Nom in. Bob and Kurg see an opportunity, so they return to the upper level, leaving Nom trapped. Having previously sussed out that Lomar is increasingly unhappy with Nom's leadership, they recruit him as well, though they leave Kurt out of the loop, as he is still loyal to Nom, this being the result of Bob's inquiries and loyalty rolls for each of Nom's henchmen. Bob collects as much loot as he can, the player passing a list to the DM of the stuff they plan to take, and vocally tells Hagen, Lomar, and Kurg that they should do a perimeter patrol. They leave Elwinda and Kurt to mind the wolf, bear, and prisoners. They then make off with the loot, heading into the woods. Nom, as yet unaware of the shenanigans transpiring, has been using the undead to pry open 2 undisturbed crypts, finding the ancestors of the Parfrey family, though no loot. After spending several hours searching every nook and cranny, he finally decides to leave, and only then realizes the door behind him is locked. He uses the zombies to pick up heavy stone debris and start smashing their way out. Meanwhile, the assassins, elf, and the henchmen make their way through the woods, Bob attempting to draw a rough map, Hagen scouting ahead using his natural stealth. I should note that this plan was concocted in private by the 2 players running the assassins, and even Hagen's player was in the dark. They took him along for his obvious use. The player at this point was indeed starting to suspect something was amiss, but went along with it anyway. A random encounter is rolled, and a single brown bear is indicated. The dice indicate that the bear is hostile and attacks. Since it's not aware of the elf due to the successful elven stealth, it charges in at the others. Though they pelt it with shots as it closes the gap, they are unable to kill it before it mauls Bob, wounding him grievously and pinning him to the ground. Kurg moves into melee to help his fellow guild member, while Lomar shoots. Hagen simply observes from a safe distance. After several rounds of combat, the bear crushes Bob into critical condition and wallops Kurg before finally succumbing to its injuries. Bears in AD&D 1st edition can fight for d4 rounds after falling below 0 hit points, this bear lasting 3 rounds. The bear dead, Hagen comes forth. Kurg demands that Hagen tend to the dwarf, who's in negative hit points and bleeding out, but not dead yet. Hagen crouches, attempting to stabilize the injured dwarf, and while he does so, Kurg quietly moves behind Hagen in an attempt to backstab. The DM calls for rolls between them as Kurg rolls his move silently, but fails. Hagen rolls against normal surprise chances for this betrayal, scoring a 3, preventing surprise. Even if Kurg had scored successfully on his move silently check, Hagen's dexterity would have negated up to 3 segments of surprise, meaning Kurg could only have surprised him with a successful move silently, and Hagen rolling a 4 on the d6 surprise check. Tough to do indeed. Declarations are made. Kurg attempts to dual-wield his weapons. Hagen declares casting his sleep spell to knock out both Kurg and Lomar, who is aiming his bow at the 2, having failed a loyalty check with his relationship with Kurg. Lomar, being Nom's henchman, is controlled by Rick in this combat. A most deliciously convoluted turn of events. Treachery is truly a tangled web, minions. Each of the 3 combatants rolls initiative, and all 3 roll a 3, completely simultaneous. Beautiful. You really had to be there, minions. Under normal AD&D rules, the spell and arrow would go simultaneously, but the melee weapon speed would be compared to the spell speed to determine which is first on a tie. The DM here uses a house rule where magic weapons have reduced speed factors equal to the plus of the weapon. So here, Kurg's magical +1 dagger has a speed factor of 1, equal to the casting time of the sleep spell. As it happens, Kurg's melee attack roll misses, the arrow misses, and the sleep spell drops both Kurg and Lomar. Hagen, aggravated by this treachery, ends both Kurg and Lomar with his dagger right then and there, but attempts to revive Bob with a healing potion. The healing potion brings Bob up to 6 hit points from negatives, but he'll still require a full week of convalescing before he's back to full. However, the DM here does house rule that any character coming back from negative hit points or critical condition must make a system shock roll to survive the ordeal. Bob's constitution of 15 gives him a 91% chance of surviving. Those are pretty good odds. But he rolls a 97 on the percentile dice, meaning Bob's insanely and deliciously evil career comes to a close. R.I.P. Bob the Assassin. I shall miss you. It won't be the same without you. Hagen assembles all of the key gear that was stolen and uses the map to find his way back to the keep. Nom's zombies eventually bash their way out of the crypt, and Nom rushes upstairs to find out what's going on, discovering the others' treachery. Hagen returns and spins a story of how the others recruited him to scout the perimeter, then attempted to make off with the goods. After turning on each other, he used his sleep to take them out and return. The story is true enough. Nom accepts it as the key items have been returned. Nom tells Hagen that they will fortify the keep and remain here for a while, as they aren't wanting for supplies and winter is looming. He plans to interrogate corpses for information and reanimate as many as possible to replenish the numbers. To this end, Nom does have Hagen take them to the bodies, where Nom makes a point of dragging the corpses back for questioning and reanimation. The session ends there. Well, minions, wasn't that delightful? Allow me to assuage your fears about the player versus player aspect of today's session. Everyone was on board and loved the outcome. It is, of course, desirable to win. Bob and Kurg would have profited quite immensely had they prevailed, but sometimes the dice are against you. They took their shot, and it went south. Nom's player, Rick, completely understood the motivation. This sort of play isn't for every group, but when all are on board, let the good times roll. Matt and Sean had been planning this for a while. Both characters and players had suitable motivations. Matt had decided long ago that as a follower of Mask himself, he felt that Nom's methods ran contrary to the faith. Nom being a poor leader, not worthy of the mantle. Bob, being Bob, just got greedy. Sadly, however, Sean, who played Bob, has elected to depart this group and join the campaign's sister group known as, Team Good. Sean's pending backup character was a ranger, and he has joined a group with 2 paladins as of this recording. Needless to say, I hope we don't encounter them anytime soon. But the Dungeon Master is running 2 campaigns concurrently within the same continuity, and there's already been overlap between the 2 groups historically speaking. Goody goods do provoke those saving throws versus poison lest one throw up from all the wholesomeness, don't they? Ugh. I shudder to imagine. As for the continued Night Below campaign, no real forward motion was made with that plotline. This side event dominated, but that's okay. Nom and team are still stuck at the Broken Spire Keep. With winter looming, they'll be there for some time. Mysteries still linger, such as this new god Ace-Erik, and Nom's mysteriously conflicting memories. Ranchivus had superiors, so the plot thickens and Nom must continue to dig for information. The next session will feature new decisions, new allies, so we shall see where all of that will lead. Until then, minions, it's back to the crypt for me. I shall summon you when there's more to say. Ta-ta for now.